better than Kanyon.
What's up, guys? Our Wrestling Podcast back at you with another episode. This is Dave Vicious, along with Just Total Package, Craig the British Bulldog, and Cuz, bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. Today's topic, Chris Kanyon, Trendsetter. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio, or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel, and check out exclusive content on Daily Motion at Our Wrestling Podcast. On social media, can you give us a follow on Instagram at O.W.P 2019 or on Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast? Okay, Mr. Kanyon has, for some reason, reached our text messaging peak over the last 2 weeks. Guys, what's going on? What are we trying to say?
Is this Cuz that I'm feeling? Cuz is on the topic episode right now.
I got it for my boy Kanyon, you know?
It's been 17 years.
Yeah.
I didn't know you guys knew each other. That's interesting.
Oh, we share the same first names.
Same Kanyon, yeah.
That's fair.
I like his mask.
I've been thinking about this for a while, and then Cuz and I, it always happens like when Cuz and I text about something. I think it happened about Sting. He's like, Sting is the greatest. I'm like, no, he's the fucking greatest. And then we just start going back and forth. And then like, I think we've always like briefly texted about Kanyon, whether it's a review or something like that or whatever. And Cuz like, Kanyon was fucking good. I'm like, he was fucking good.
Yeah.
And it just like builds up over like a long period of time. And then I don't know what I was doing. I was like, I haven't done Trendsetters in a long time. And I was watching a WCW pay-per-view and a Kanyon match was on as Mortis. And I was just like, Kanyon was fucking really good. And then this last week we texted and Cuz is like, Kanyon is underrated. He is ahead of his time. I was like, he is ahead of his time. And I was like, I'm just going to put fucking fingers to keyboard and type a fucking Trendsetters episode because Kanyon was really good and a trendsetter. And there's a lot of stuff in modern wrestling today that we see. Kanyon was doing like years ago, like in the Monday Night War eras and 99, 2000, he was doing a lot of the weird like setup moves, but like he did a lot of stuff from a fireman's carry, which Dave will read on, and then he innovates moves from there. And like, that's a lot of like what Ospreay does, back flipping over the shoulders of an opponent or you know what I mean? Like everything derives off your shoulders. And he was really good. Kanyon was really, really good at that. There's no doubt in my mind that if he was still with us, he'd be some kind of trainer somewhere. There's no doubt. Like to me.
Yeah, I know.
Christopher
really
Morgan Clusartis. Oh, Clusartis.
Fuck yeah, I fucking nailed you.
Ooh.
Listen, dude. Don't
Ooh.
fucking start.
That's tough one. You got me. Clusartis.
Why didn't you use his real name? That's weird.
Yeah.
That's a villain right there.
Born in 1970, unfortunately passed in 2010. Was an American.
Who's better than Chris Luce?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Who's better than Morgan?
Really hangs on.
Morgan loses all stuff. Look at this.
His audio went out.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, he did. It went up high on that one.
Like GarageBand probably got you. Or whatever.
He was best known for his appearances with World Championship Wrestling and World Wrestling Federation from 1994 to 2004 under the ring name Chris Kanyon. Kanyon and Mortis. He was given the nickname the Innovator of Offense. It's offense. Sorry. During his career,
Who do you offend?
It has been recognized by commentators as one of his most underrated stars in WCW. It's super offensive. After college, he began training under Pete McKay Gonzalez, Ismael Garina, and Bobby Bold Eagle at the Lower East Side Wrestling Gym in Manhattan at some point between December 91 and January 92. He might have been sleeping through some of that months on the couch somewhere. He wrestled his first match in the spring of 92.
All right.
But especially when you're sleeping on the couch. In late 1994, he made several appearances with World Wrestling Federation as a jobber, facing wrestlers as Shawn Michaels, Diesel, Tatanka, and Bob Holly.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Utica, New York, the site of Monday Night Raw, Shawn Michaels and the 7-Foot Diesels, ready to lock up with Chris Kanyon and Bob Starr. And Michaels sporting a little facial hair there. Look at this. This guy is full of himself.
You know, he starts out as a jobber, and if you look at his style of wrestling, He's perfect for that actually, because Kanyon was also a really good bumper. And if you go back
he
and
was
watch
excellent.
Canyon's work, like he bumps perfectly, like he understands. So what a perfect talent to be like an enhancement talent and be like, you're taking all my shit. And he's like, who is better taking all your shit? Nobody.
Yeah.
So like he that doesn't, when I read that, I'm like, that's not a bad thing. Like he understood right away, like, all right, if you're going to do this role, I need to be able to take people's shit. So another dimension to the talent of Chris Kanyon is really like he's just one of those guys that like you see and you're like, yeah, he gets it. He gets everything
Well,
about pro wrestling.
All of this great bumping and great knowing wrestling debuted him in WCW as another jobber in 1995. In 96, Kanyon donned a mask and was repackaged as Mortis, a Latin word meaning death. Managed by James Vandenberg, Kanyon feuded with Glacier. Well, that's hot.
4 pages, huh?
And
It was.
or cold. In February of 1998, Kanyon, still in his guise as Mortis, asked Raven if he could join Raven's stable, the Flock, but was told that he could only become a member if he defeated Diamond Dallas Page for the United States Heavyweight Championship. Mortis failed to defeat Page for the title on February 12th episode of Thunder, and this event led to Kanyon discarding the Mortis persona and beginning a feud with Raven, in the course of which he was dubbed the innovator of offense, not offense, by play-by-play commentator Mike Tenay, due to his unique wrestling technique, which included multiple moves performed from that fireman's carry position that Jess so alluded to earlier. His matches almost always began with him asking the rhetorical question, who's better than Kanyon? Or what does everybody want? Or who's a genius? I don't know. He would eventually team up with Saturn and Raven in late 1998. Kanyon and Raven continued to team together until Raven, in storyline, was sidelined with depression, and Kanyon took time away from his wrestling career to work as a stunt coordinator and stuntman on the Jesse Ventura story. Well, I'm surprised
where was that and what was that on?
Oh, it's not even that though. I mean, we laugh at the titles. It was a documentary, a really shitty documentary of Jesse Ventura. But Kanyon early on was doing stunt work for movie studios because he was such a good pro wrestler. Most pro wrestlers are stuntmen. Like when you really think about it, like they learn how to fall, they know how to minimize impact. And Kanyon was working in Hollywood like as a stunt coordinator and a stuntman like early on. It's kind of cool. You didn't know that when we were seeing him as Mortis or coming out of the mask or whatever. But he was just. It's really cool, like to think about Kanyon's story. It legitly is. Like he was fucking super active and understood like pro wrestling. I'd like to transfer right now into the legacy of Jesse Ventura. Dave, go ahead. And Dave starts.
In May 1999 at Slamboree, Kanyon helped Raven and Saturn defeat Billy Kidman and Rey Mysterio Jr. for the WCW World Tag Team Championships. Later that month, Kanyon, substituting for Raven and Saturn, defended those titles against Bam Bam Bigelow and Diamond Dallas Page. So we went Freebird rules on this one, didn't we, ladies and gentlemen? Nobody wants to talk about what we did. Sorry.
We're going to talk about it later, Dave. Keep reading. You keep reading.
During the match, Kanyon turned on Saturn, enabling Bigelow and Page to win the WCW World Tag Team Championships. That's not very Freebird rules to me. Kanyon then formed a stable with Bigelow and Page.
I do not remember this at all.
Jersey
Wow.
Triad.
I love that name.
Yeah.
It's the Triad, like they now want to be called. 3 men who are World Tag Team Champions. The Triad, led by DDP, Bam Bam Bigelow, and Kanyon. This is not a World Tag Team title bout, but it's a 6-man match. And there you see the 3 men that face the Triad, Benoit, Saturn, Malenko.
I do.
That said, Triad feuded with Saturn and Chris Benoit. Sorry, Benoit. Over the Tag Team Championships, defeating them.
Yep.
You all right, buddy?
Yeah. I was thinking.
You okay?
Yeah.
I gotta check.
Just something that
make
we.
sure you're all right.
Yeah.
Don't hurt yourself. For the title on June 13th in the Baltimore Arena at the Great American Bash pay-per-view. During their reign, they were given special. That's not a word.
Do it, Dave.
You say dispensation?
Yep.
Dispensation? Is that what you're telling me that is right there?
You nailed it.
They were given
because-
special dispensation. That's what you're telling me. That's not a word.
It's a different definition for Freebird.
What is this, a Jesse Ventura conspiracy here?
For Freebird
In
rules.
the Baja, I get special dispensation.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't know what you're saying at all.
Oh.
By
okay.
WCW President Ric Flair. By the way, Ric Flair was also the president here.
Dispensation
That's
of
You
the
why
power.
we're all-
guys want to defend the titles. You don't
You
have to tell
don't
me
know
what's
what
true.
dispensation means. To defend that title as a three-man unit, granted them a numerical advantage over their opponents. The Triad would eventually lose those tag titles and disband shortly after, with Kanyon once again placing his wrestling career on hiatus. I know what that word is.
Hey,
To work on the
guys want
WCW produced
dispensation?
film Ready to Rumble, where he once again became
Operation
a stunt coordinator and the stunt double of lead actor Oliver Platt. Okay, so
So all the
Oliver
stunts that
Platt-
Oliver Platt did in that movie was Chris Kanyon. Except for all the bumps and shit. Chris Kanyon.
Oliver Platt wasn't taking no fucking bumps whatsoever.
Of course not.
living his
sorry,
gimmick.
Who better than Kanyon?
That's crazy.
Jonathan Kanyon?
How much? But Oliver Platt,
He's fatty.
Oliver Platt has like no definition whatsoever. How much?
He was Jimmy the King. Are you
How
fucking
much?
serious?
How
He's
much?
Jimmy the King.
How much toilet paper had to get stuffed into
That's
that
right.
suit?
He was Jimmy the King in the
Jimmy the
movie.
King.
You fucking respect the King. Thank you.
The king.
Go on.
The king of kings.
Apparently they didn't respect the king at all in that film. That's why he lost.
It's
his title.
impossible with you.
I know.
Head of the table.
I'm sorry.
Just to get respect.
Kanyon
for
returned to
Jimmy the
WCW in late 1999 as Chris Champagne. Champagne. I'm sorry, abbreviated to CCK.
Yeah.
Like that matters. The
J
company
Biggs.
by J Biggs.
I have a question.
His
Is that Mr.
agent.
Biggs?
Interesting.
Can I ask a question? Did he inspire Chris Jericho with the bubblies in the champagne and the champagne spa
believe he
match
did.
or whatever? Like, I think that he did. bitch.
J Biggs, his agent, and two former Nitro girls, a baby and a chameleon. He claimed he had become acclimatized.
Clarence
really.
Mason, baby.
These are the words.
job,
These are
Dave.
the words you're gonna put in here.
Very good
These
job.
are very big words for our audience. You know this, right?
Yeah, of course.
Acclimatized
They're
to the
stupid.
glamour of
Everybody knows that.
Hollywood, and thus began indulging on luxuries such as champagne, women, and expensive cars, or cars for short. He feuded briefly with Bigelow and Page before being removed from WCW by interim booker Kevin Sullivan.
Listen,
Listen.
you're not as good as Benoit.
Yeah, even though he stole my wife, you're not as good as I.
Who's
he
better than
lost
Kanyon?
seven.
Everybody, you're gone.
Benoit.
Kanyon would return to WCW once more on April 10th of 2000 when Vince Russo, replaced
Bro.
Sullivan. He teamed with
Are
Page
you
for
sitting
several
at
months,
home, Chris
bro.
Canyon? What are you doing, bro? Get over here.
Which
From day
climax-
one,
you,
I've been
bro.
like, give me Chris Canyon.
Which
Bro,
climax
you
of
will
Slam
save
Brady with him
him
attempting to save
being
save DDP
powerbombed.
from being
You will
powerbombed
feel
by Mike
hurt, but
Awesome
still
at the
save
top of
him.
the triple cage.
Ah, yeah.
Which is also used in the Ready to Rumble movie.
The close friend of DDP. The winner.
Oh my God. We need help. We need help. God, we need help, please. We need help.
Get
We
somebody
need
out
help.
here.
We need help. Are we going to go up the air like this? Oh, my God. Jesus. Oh, he broke his back.
no.
He broke his back. He broke his. Oh,
I hope Bischoff and Russo are satisfied now.
oh. Are we going to. They're going to celebrate in the midst of this?
For the record,
We've
they
done some
did
Mike
this.
Awesome work too.
So
And
we're talking about this
Mike
pay
Awesome.
per view. I believe it was Slamboree 2000,
Slamboree?
and they did it. They were in the Kemper Arena, and this was 1 year after Owen fell to his death in the same arena. And they
Yep.
did a stunt
And they-
where on the Triangle of Doom page, they let Mike Awesome powerbomb him off the top onto the ramp, and they gimmicked the ramp so it gave way. But like he took a big fucking bump from the top of the cage all the way down to the fucking ramp and like
Yeah.
crashed it in or whatever. Like,
Yeah, I remember that too.
ladies and gentlemen, WCW.
Mhm.
But he was a
Okay.
stunt man. I think that's important to
Yeah.
know.
Well, you know,
I don't know why.
mean,
I feel it is.
let's see if Vince and his cronies can do any better, because on July 5th of 2001, Kanyon made his WWF debut on SmackDown as a part of the Alliance, a group of former WCW wrestlers who were invading.
He was one of the only four people that
WWF.
like didn't have a extended contract. That's why.
Right. He made his pay-per-view debut at Invasion, a one-off show featuring WWF superstars against former WCW and Extreme Championship Wrestling ECW employees. Kanyon reformed his tag team with fellow Alliance member Diamond Dallas Page on the August 6, 2001 edition of Raw, when Kanyon helped Page attack The Undertaker backstage. On the August 9th, 2001 episode of SmackDown, they defeated the Acolytes Protection Agency, Farouk and Bradshaw, APA. We all know that. Damn. For the WWF Tag Team Championships. Their reign lasted, there it is, until August 19th, when they were defeated by the Brothers of Destruction, Kane and The Undertaker. Not really brothers, but that's okay. For the title in a steel cage match at the Slams of Summer.
The cover, but the championship goal to the back of the head of Bradshaw. Not this way. Here's the cover. The Alliance has won the WWF Tag Team titles. Here are your winners and the new World Wrestling Federation Damn right, Cole. Chris Kanyon and Dallas Page. The Alliance, we don't play fair. We play to win. The Alliance getting stronger by the heartbeat.
Or SummerSlam. You're not going to get it there with Kane and Undertaker. I'll tell you that right now. On December 29, 2001, Kanyon tore his left anterior cruciate ligament. Jess, that's his left ACL for those who don't want to spell it out. During a dark match with Randy Orton, he underwent surgery with Dr. James Andrews. He's a superstar in his field. That took place in Birmingham, Alabama. Yeah, Dr. James is the man. Good for him. And was sidelined for the remainder of the Invasion angle. Not Dr. Drew, but, Kanyon. He would appear only once in a cameo angle at the Survivor Series pay-per-view. In May of 2002, Kanyon was cleared to compete and was sent to Ohio Valley Wrestling, the OVW, soon to be known as NXT. Within a few years, they're
sending that motherfucker Kanyon down to me, Jim Cornette, because it was he running Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Dumb motherfucker.
Wow,
this motherfucking stuntman, motherfucker.
If you want to have some fun, go watch Cornette talk about Nia Jax this week. That was horrible. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I agree with that completely. He's out of control. Out of control.
Jim Cornette is what the kids call a bit much. He's a bit extra.
He's a little out of control.
And
he's a bit extra.
It's like,
yeah, I agree, Dave. I agree. Man. However, while wrestling Lance Cade in Lima, Ohio, on the July 13th, 2002 episode, Kanyon injured his left shoulder, suffering a humeral head contusion and suprastaneous tendinitis. He had surgery on July 21st of 2002 and began experiencing breathing difficulties in July 25th of same year as a result of an allergy to the medications that he was being treated for. Kanyon's lungs filled with fluid and his blood oxygen to recover and was discharged from the hospital on July 28th of same year, having lost 32 pounds in the interim. He would sporadically return to the WWE and wrestle mainly in dark matches.
I think it's so much because James, he's reading and I'm hitting him with complicated words and everything else. And then we're doing ridiculous sound shit. And then as Steve's reading, he's like, his lung collapsed and he's fucking gonna die. Like, he has to get serious.
But he didn't. He fucking made it. He made it, bro. He made it here.
Dave has to right the ship. I put him in an impossible situation.
He made it until he didn't. On the February 9th, 2004, after a year of facing 2 injuries and not being used in any major storylines, Kanyon was officially released from his contract. He tried to come back, but it didn't work out.
Why did that exhaust you?
He would go in and out of retirement.
You saying 57th Street exhausted
on December 19th of 2009 for New York Wrestling Connections Miracle on 57th Street. Defeating. Is that Alex Wright? I think it just says Alex.
There's some guy named Alex.
He continued working for the promotion before his death. He wrestled his last match on January 30th of 2010 as Mortis in a handicap match, defeating Blake Morris and Mike Reed. Kanyon, along with Raven and Michael Saunders, attempted to sue WWE for cheating them out of health care and other benefits, but a federal judge in Stanford, imagine that, where Vince is totally working and,
what a coincidence.
Lubing up those quotes.
What a coinky dink.
We're going to dismiss that one. Kanyon had been suffering from bipolar disorder. Yeah, imagine that too, from getting dropped on your head. and he threatened suicide in the weeks prior to his death. On April 2nd of 2010, his brother Ken Kluxardis, I can't even say it right, I'm sorry, concerned about him not answering calls, found him dead in Sunnyside, Queens, their childhood home. An empty bottle of antidepressants and the drug Seroquel were found nearby. I could be saying that wrong too. He was 40 years old. Kanyon left behind a note of apology for his family. His death was acknowledged by the WWE. All I gotta say to that is, you might have acknowledged it, but did you compensate it? I doubt it.
And also, too, I don't know if I purposely did this or not, but it just wasn't in there or whatever. But Kanyon was gay as well.
Oh yeah.
Well,
So
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was gay as
that's-
well, and also like he had depression and all that stuff, and that was hard for him. Like he was a gay male, and that's in that industry, in that kind of alpha locker room sometimes. And I don't mean just WWE, I mean any locker room.
Oh yeah, pro wrestling.
That's kind of like hard for some people to grasp. I'm not suggesting we have a hard time grasping it, but it is what it is. And he kind of had to grow up with that too. And he was bipolar and he was depressed. And, like Dave said, he's a stuntman and a pro wrestler. So you're falling on your neck and
Your
back
head,
a lot.
yeah.
And your head and you're fucked up. And, I think I think it was a cash grab. He's trying to get on this fucking lawsuit. And you know what I mean? I'm not saying some people don't have a cry for, everybody knows in the 80s and 90s, you didn't get medical. I get it. And Kanyon, I don't think was in that.
I believe
They still don't, but they get compensated quite a bit. And if they get injured in the ring, they get the company like full on pays for them.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just one of those things where he also was ahead of his time, besides being a trendsetter, where it's like there was just like he was like the last group of wrestlers that didn't get shit.
Yeah.
And it sucks. And
Makes
when
sense.
you're on when you're depressed and or on drugs and or concussed and or all of those other things, you're doing a lawsuit, I'll jump on that lawsuit. Let's fucking sue Vince.
Yeah.
And they're trying for anything. They couldn't get medical. They couldn't get anything.
Even Mark Merrow was jumping on that bandwagon at this time.
Yeah, you couldn't get anything. And I'm not shitting on Vince. He's just the richest guy in the room, and fucking there you go, attach yourself to a lawsuit. And I'm not saying, I'm not critiquing them for that, because like you have hurt people that are getting older, getting unhealthier, never had help. Suffering from concussion post syndrome. Oh, you're just hurt from wrestling. It's aches and pains, but they're really suffering from concussions. And like, I don't know. And then he's gay, and then he's bipolar, and then all this other shit. It's like, God damn it, man. Like, I think Pez always lowers his tone when we talk about Kanyon. Pez is always disappointed when we talk about Kanyon, because he's like, what a fucking shame. And it is a shame.
Yeah,
it's a shame. And I wanted to talk about it because he was so fucking talented, and he was such a lot of today's wrestling that we see was what Kanyon did. And I think I want him to be around because he would have been a trainer. He fucking would have been. And he would have been
100%.
It's just, you watch a lot of his shit, even as Mortis, when we got to see him on the big stage on television,
I love that.
Like, he was good, dude. He made fucking Glacier look good. Are you kidding me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he did so many great things in there. And we watched a lot of shit that Mortis would do, Kanyon, and just be like, God damn, like when he finally got his break, and DDP was a good friend of his, so was Bigelow, and they were all from Jersey, right? So the Jersey Triad, that's why they formed that name.
Right.
And like, it was just really cool to see him finally get something, in WCW in '99. Like, it was really cool. And it just didn't pan out for him after. And he was a part of the Invasion angle, so he did work for WWE like after that. But at the same time, it's like, God damn it, man. Like, when I think of stories like him, I'm like, they were just fucking suffering, and like nobody knew. Saturn's the same way, and like other people like that. It's like they were suffering. You don't know like what they go through, and you don't really get like what, if you're already depressed on top of it, or have a lifestyle that is not currently accepted or widely accepted, and then you're falling on your head to boot. That's a problem. And then you're using substances, you're using, you know what I mean? Like, just crazy. And what broke my heart is like, he wrote an apology letter to his family for saying goodbye.
It was,
it's like, fuck, dude, God damn it. Like,
he planned
why? Like, yeah, he planned it. He was said goodbye.
Contemplating it.
It's hard to dispel someone and get them out of your sight if they love the wrestling business as much as Chris Kanyon did. But unfortunately, it just never worked. He always seemed to be hiding something, and I guess he was.
What You said he did enough on his own.
Drugs and alcohol.
Okay.
Same old shit, man.
Right.
Yeah, they
Reliability.
guys go hide.
Yeah.
They get a gun to their head. Don't blame them. They retreat. They go into self-imposed isolation.
Waiting it.
Yeah, he couldn't
It-
fucking deal with it, and it fucking sucks, man. It
It's
just sucks.
unfortunately more common than it needs to be.
Yeah, it fucking sucks. And he was so talented on top of that. And I did want to talk. He is a trendsetter because I do see a lot of, like I said, the transition moves that Omega uses and Osprey
yeah.
and people. You know, like it's from Kanyon, and Kanyon was doing that in the late
fireman's
'90s.
carry you
Yeah.
were talking about, right?
Kanyon was doing that in the mid '90s, by the way. Like
Yeah.
even when he was a jobber, like he was doing these innovative stuff. And if you go back and watch Mortis, which I hope everybody does, go back and watch him as Mortis and as Chris Kanyon with the Jersey Triad, and you see a lot of shit that Kanyon did. He was unselfish, and he was one of those guys that you would want to get in there with because it's easy. You know, it's like, oh, he knows how to take my shit.
Right off, yeah.
Like, you know, because Kanyon was that good. And that's why I wanted to talk about him. You know, like I know we laughed earlier in the episode. We didn't laugh at the tragedy, but we laughed,
No.
you know,
Nah,
other things.
we're not-
But I mean, like
Yeah.
he was really good, man. And he's one of those people that you watch and you go back and like, what a fucking shame, dude. Like that he's not around right now to pass his knowledge and be. Can you imagine him in NXT or even
Oh, yeah.
fucking in AEW locker room where he could
AEW,
fucking teach people like, no,
Teach people how to bump and wrestle.
can you do this? Yeah, can you do this, please? And can you sell like this, please? And like, you know, we need that. We miss him, and we need people like him in the industry always, forever.
Yeah, I agreed. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio, or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel, and check out exclusive content on Daily Motion at Our Wrestling Podcast. And don't forget on social media, Jess would hate you if you followed him.
Fuck you.
O.W.P 2019 on Instagram or on
Fuck
Facebook
off.
at Our Wrestling Podcast for the Cuz, Jess, Craig, and Butters. This is the O.W.P signing off. Have a good